Yeah, this is the C-Town Rivals podcast where each and every week during football season, we come at you. We come at you pretty hard with some facts, with some recaps, with some predictions. We like to cover as many things, Chandler, as possible. And before we really dive in, and yes, guys, you know it is playoff season. Congratulations to the Valley Christian girls volleyball team. They are state champions. And the Perry boys beach volleyball champions. As a matter of fact, it's the first ever boys beach volleyball championship ever held. And the Pumas, indeed, Puma Nation, definitely a lot to be proud of. So that is good stuff. But as we slide deeper into November, I get deeper and deeper with Ralph Amsden and Adam Beadle. It is always good stuff. And Adam, as I always like to say, yes, you know by now, you are the founder of something. And Ralph, yes, you are the founder of C-Town Rivals. And it's good stuff. We love Chandler. We certainly do. And we love the food in and around the Chandler area. And Ralph, I'm going to let you think about it because I know your answer is probably going to be Elmer's Tacos. I'm going to slide over to Adam. And what is your favorite food, your favorite restaurant in Chandler? It can be a chain, but as long as there's a chain in Chandler, that's good. Or if there's something unique, what do you got for me, my man? What do you like? What do you recommend?
This is such a hard question. There's so many places I love. So I've kind of got two. Only because one of them doesn't really exist anymore.
Okay.
There was a restaurant they had built across the street from Hamilton called Ginger Monkey.
Yes.
And it was a
Yes.
very good place. It kind of just became like, the staple for Hamilton football and sorts. Parents would go over there before the game, after the game, whatnot. Weekly, you would just see Hamilton people there throughout the week. But then it got new ownership and kind of went away. It just really hasn't been the same since. I think they changed their name and stuff too.
Absolutely.
But on that same
Quick
street,
trivia question with that. There is one person on this podcast who had the very first, dare I say, beverage that begins with a B and ends with an L, hence Bud Light, in that place. So, yes, I helped open that place years ago. So, yes.
I love it.
That's
I would probably have to say
Ralph is snickering. He's like,
on that
what
same part of Arizona Avenue. I mean, I'm a Zips guy through and through, and that Zips on what is it, Arizona and Ocotillo has probably taken at least near $1,000 from my bank account. So I've been there plenty of times.
Okay, that's good stuff. Two spots very near. Ralph, I'm going to let you continue to think about the question. I am going to say Venezia's. I am a big Venezia's pizza fan. It is a very simple New York style pie. A lot of people are like, oh, New York pizza, this and that. And yeah, I'm a New Yorker. But for me, that comes as close to it. It's got that little bit of oil mixed in. It's simple. And like most guys, I like items on my pizza. But if I'm going to go straight cheese, I am going to go Venezia's. So that would be that's my scenario. Mr. Ralph.
Oh, man, how much time you got? Look, if you're a chicken wings person, ATL over off of Warner in Arizona, they got the best lemon pepper on earth. They got that blue Kool-Aid.
There you go. Okay.
Absolutely love ATL wings. If you're going to have like a burrito day, like all day long, you're going to hit 3 burrito spots. Yeah, I love Elmer's. It's the best place in the world to eat lunch. But if you're getting a breakfast burrito, you got to get El Sol. It's by Marty's Trophies, right next to Chandler High. It is the best breakfast burrito on the planet, entire planet, not just city of Chandler. It's incredible. And then, man, those one ingredient burritos over by Hamilton at Rita's Burritos. I don't know if you've had it, but it's like $3 a burrito, and it's just one thing in it, like brisket or something like that. And it's so good. If I'm taking the whole family out, all my kids, we're going to Floridino's, no doubt at all, by where ACP used to be, the old Erie Elementary. And then if I'm taking the wife out, I got to hit Pesto's. right by Seton Catholic, my all-time favorite restaurant, owned by the family of one of the very first ever teams we covered for C-Town Rivals, Hamilton Baseball's Noah Torrisano. So I just Pesto's is the best place in the world to take a girl. And yeah, man, Chandler got so many great food spots, but those are my favorites for sure.
Definitely good stuff. No, that is one fantastic thing about Chandler. You got some great privately owned places. You've got some good smaller chains. It's one of the many, many things that we love about Chandler, Arizona, but we also love high school football. And we will begin with the Valley Christian Trojans. Props to Dominic Zavada hitting that game winner for the Michigan Wolverines not too long ago. He was kicking for the Valley Christian Trojans. Just awesome to see. And they are headed to the 3A semifinals after defeating Gilbert Christian 40-21. Jake Peterson's team, they scored early and often. Doesn't get any earlier than the opening kickoff. Asher Hansel takes it 75 yards to the house. Caleb Goldman had a couple of touchdown runs. Austin Shooter did the same, along with a touchdown pass. The Knights actually took a 21-20 lead in that game, but Adam, the defense, put up a goose egg in the fourth quarter, and they were able to pull away from Gilbert Christian.
Yeah, I think this is a little bit unfamiliar for Valley Christian just because we've talked about them in recent weeks, kind of being that team that has been firing. They've really clicked on offense. Their defense has come up big too. They've been able to put up a lot of points on the board. I think just last week we were talking about how Valley Christian is kind of the hottest team in 3A right now, aside from Ben Franklin, who obviously has dominated all year. And I guess Gilbert Christian must have been listening to this podcast or heard it from somewhere else because they brought their A game to start that one, and were even at 14 with halftime with Valley Christian. But props to the Trojans in that second half for really kicking things into gear and being able to come in and get a win and advance.
Ralph, 3 times in the last 5 years, including this, Valley Christian has gotten to the semifinal round. There's been some domination, but they've stubbed their toe in this round when they've gotten there. But there's something special about this team.
There is something special about this team, and I hope that I've never implied anything other than that. And I do want to bring up a tweet that I got this week from what looks like the defensive coordinator of Valley Christian, Coach Austin Brooks. I'm going to read this word for word so that we can make sure that if I did this, that I apologize. This is from Coach Austin Brooks. Dear Ralph Amsden and C-Town Rivals, in 2016, I coached against Toby Keith when he was volunteering at Norman North High School in Oklahoma. He wrote a song that captures how we feel about your take on our playoff hopes. And that song is Toby Keith's How Do You Like Me Now? And it said, and he signed it, sincerely, the fraudulent number 2 seed. And then when you go to Coach Austin Brooks' Twitter profile, he's got his couple of his favorite Bible verses, and then in quotes, fraudulent number 2 seed, unquote, Valley Christian's defensive coordinator. Okay. And I don't remember doing this. Do you guys remember me picking against Valley Christian or saying they were frauds? I do remember saying one thing, but it wasn't that.
Right. I don't recall that. No. We have been very adamant about Valley Christian being strong and upper echelon D3 team essentially all year long.
Yeah, I definitely don't remember calling them fraudulent. I think one thing that I said was that I thought there was a bigger gap between the 1 and 2 seed than there was 2 and 15 in 3A. That was meant to be a compliment to Benjamin Franklin. It didn't actually have anything to do with Valley Christian at all. Sure. It was that if you look at Valley Christian's schedule, they played the hardest schedule relative to their division in the state of Arizona.
Yep.
They played the hardest schedule in the state relative to where they play. I think they had 8 playoff wins going into in a 10-0 season. And so that was definitely not a comment about Valley Christian per se. So I don't think you're frauds, but if it helps against Round Valley, right into the camera, right up close. Here we go. You guys are frauds.
11 wins and 1 loss is the record for the Valley Christian Trojans right now. And we'll preview that game against the Elks of Round Valley a little bit later in the show. The ACP Knights, what a game. Survive and advance. 35-34 win over the Cactus Shadow Falcons. ACP, they battled in this one. True playoff competition. Ralph, 2 things are big in the playoffs. Having a senior quarterback, which they certainly have. Great to see Heinrich connect with Kyle Poole and winning the 4th quarter. That's what you got to do. You got to win the 4th quarter to win playoff games. And Ralph, that's what they did on Friday night.
Yeah, and they made mistakes, and they came back from those mistakes. This was a different version of Valley Christian for me. I'm used to them, everything being very under control, even when they can't, run the ball in situations where they haven't been able to run the ball. Even it's not like they get desperate in the passing game. And so Evan Heinrich threw 3 picks.
Yes.
Which is like more interceptions than he had in the previous 2 seasons combined.
That's right. Yes.
And if you watched at the end of this game, his downfield vision, when he would choose to run the ball, some of the zip that he would have on his passes, the resilience, I feel like this was his best performance, his sloppiest, but his best. Like I walked away from this game being like, oh, that's a college quarterback for sure.
Yes,
for sure. And
his poise is what has just amazed me over the last few years.
It was amazing. It was very cool to see.
Adam, equal balance by this team from receptions to carries. One of their big strengths is they just spread the ball out through so many weapons. You never know who's going to step up, which is great.
Yeah, and I think you also got to give a shout out to their defense too. Obviously, stopping that 2-point conversion at the end of the game. I mean, that tells the tale of your season right there. And I kind of knew going into this one that ACP was gonna be tested in a way they hadn't really been tested all season, just because Donovan Dixon is such a unique player with unique skill sets that it makes it really difficult at times to game plan for what he's going to do, because he could do anything he's asked on any given play. He could run the ball, he could pass, he could, spread the field. Like, there's just so much he could do. And so, back kind of to Ralph's point, it was good to see this ACP team be faced with a good amount of adversity and overcome that, because it's honestly the first time we've seen them be put into that, big of a sort of surviving situation all season long. They've been down in games, they've been able to come back, but it wasn't, to the wire as this one was and making plays. But again, to Ralph's point about Evan Heinrich, sometimes see some of the best skill traits you'll see out of quarterback prospect is that they are able to overcome adversity despite, having a rough game. And I think that's what sticks out the most for Evan, is that he's not just a quarterback that's going to pass the ball really well, that sees the field really well, but he's a guy that's never going to put his head down. And out of anything, if I'm a college coach, if I'm any coach in general for that matter, at any level, that's what I'm looking for out of a player, is looking for a guy that knows the game isn't over until the final whistle. And so that's the thing I appreciate about Evan Heinrich the most throughout the times I've seen him through last season, through the summer. This kid's had to deal with a lot when it comes to, different offenses, different coaches. And I think in a way, Heinrich's performance is a testament to what this ACP team has been built on as a whole, is just, being able to make the best out of every situation. And that's exactly what they did on Friday night. So props to Evan Heinrich, props to ACP as they continue to move forward. It's really exciting to watch this team compete week after week.
I want to shout out Cam Mitchell as well.
Yeah,
because
definitely
just
solid
extraordinarily high effort game from him, and to have 3.5 tackles for loss in the playoffs against a quarterback that has 10,000 yards to his name.
5th most total yards in the country, which is insane.
Yeah. And Cam Mitchell was, and Donovan Dixon is going to remember Cam Mitchell from his last ever high school game, being somebody that had him on his toes and scrambling all over the place. So just incredible effort from him, and wanted to make sure he got a shout out.
Absolutely. At 9-2, ACP will have a rematch against ALA Gilbert North. We'll preview that a little bit later in the show, and that's should be a good one. They obviously have some challenges. The Casteel Colts, what a run, and despite the loss, the run is still going. They fall to the Brophy Broncos 51-42 in the first round of the Open, and they're now 6-5 on the year. Adam, let's stay on this Colts team. T. Smith, another great game, 100-plus yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns. He did his thing in the air as well. No one else really stepped up offensively, however. And yes, Troy certainly had some big catches, but at the same time, as they get deeper in the playoffs, we need to see somebody else emerge offensively besides T. Smith. We'll see who they can unleash. They've got a tough one.
Yeah, and I think you were the one who pointed out last week that Casteel wasn't going to win this game if T. Smith was, the leading rusher on the ground. I think for a minute in this one, it looked like, that fact wasn't going to be a problem. Casteel was going to be able to, pull this one out with him doing as much as he was on the ground. But obviously, as the game went on, that was a bit different. There wasn't really a whole lot of defense between either of these two teams in the first half of this game. It was back and forth and back and forth. Casteel took back 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns, which is huge. But then we kind of got to a point in the fourth quarter where penalties started to be a bit of an issue for Casteel, and they got pushed back. They were stuck in a 4th and 30 situation at one point. Tried this the craziest thing I've ever seen. The punter did a fake underhand pass. It was a fake punt, and the punter took it and he threw it up underhand. It didn't go very far. It got intercepted, but there was a pass interference call on Brophy that brought it back. Wow. So then Casteel got to they kicked a field goal and missed it. But for them to get an opportunity out of that was crazy. But I think what's going to be sort of the key for Casteel is not being in situations where they kind of have to play catch up, which is kind of what it felt like in this game a little bit as Brophy started to get the lead. I think they had a 2-score lead at one point, which, obviously was a 9-point finish. But Casteel did try to come back. It's just, I think, to your point, there weren't enough players on offense that stepped up. You could tell guys were kind of getting gassed by the end of the game, and that's really what allowed Brophy to seal this one and come out with a big win. And so credit to the Broncos, but also Casteel. I think if you can kind of, it's just, I think it's more of just about maybe finding different ways to move the ball because so many players were involved. I'm looking at this and there were, let's see,
a lot of guys touched the ball. You're right.
9 or 10 guys that had a catch. So getting the ball to your guys and spreading it out isn't necessarily the issue for Casteel. It's just continuing to move it downfield. I think they have a lot of great guys up front that have been huge for them this year when it has come to moving the ball. And Brophy is a different type of physicality than this Casteel team, who is a different team since midseason has faced. This is probably Casteel's toughest test since they played Hamilton. What was that, week 3 or 4?
Week 3, I believe. Yep.
And so I think it's evident that the will to, want to win these big games is there for Casteel. I still have, confidence that they can make a deep playoff run in 6A. And also I think it proved that T. Smith is going to be a problem, not just for the rest of the playoffs, but next year too. Man, sure. This kid with the year in development with Joe Bushman, and this offense and what they're doing, I'm really excited for T. Smith's future. I think he's another guy, kind of like Evan Heinrich, that's flying under the radar a little bit and has the potential to be a college quarterback.
Absolutely. Ralph, I want to get your take on this upcoming Higley game. Then we'll get back to Adam and his thoughts on whether it's a prediction or keys to the game. This Higley team actually beat Brophy during the regular season, and we have a lot of respect for both coaches, Zuby and, of course, Joe Bushman. This will be a good one.
It has the potential to be a very, very good game, and it has the potential to be a great game for Casteel because Higley is not a team that actually starts very strong. And so, you have an opportunity in this game to maybe get out in front And then you get to pin your ears back a little bit, and you have a quarterback over at Higley and Gunnar Fagrell that's very good, but certainly not as elusive as Case Vandenbosch. And if you were able to sack Case 4 times, I think you have to be feeling pretty good if you're in a position to be mostly in pass rush situations. But you got to get out and you got to get an early lead first. Casteel has had no problem scoring, even getting 21 on ALA Queen Creek when they were outmatched in that game. I think 28 points is probably enough to beat Higley at this point in the season. Higley can score. They can. They're just not consistent with it. So you can get 4 touchdowns. I think 4 touchdowns and a field goal for sure. I think you can get out of this one with a win.
And Adam, if T. Smith accounts for 3 touchdowns, somebody else can probably account for another. So, I mean, I'd like to think that the Colts have a good chance in this one.
Yeah, but I think more than, any other week, this has got to be the week for Casteel to get other guys involved in the ground game. I saw Higley play a couple times throughout the year, and stopping the run was kind of just one of the things they struggled with the most. And I think Casteel's going to have a bit of some issues turning to the pass game just because of who Higley has at corner, and Nassim Eason and Justice Brathwaite are 2 phenomenal players, 2 very, very talented defensive backs. So I think Casteel's going to have to get a little bit more creative in terms of what they do offensively in this game. I also see the potential for this to kind of be like the Brophy game, where it's just another high-scoring affair, and these teams are kind of going back and forth.
I'm leaning that way with you.
I think they will find a way to score more than 30 points, but I don't think they'll quite get the 40. So I'm going to go Casteel 35-31.
You and I, we think quite alike. If someone were to say, hey, what's the final score? I'd put it right in that range as well. Yeah, I do think it'll be one of those back and forth affairs, and both teams certainly have the capability to score and potentially shut each other down. So we'll see, but I do think there'll be some points scored in that one.
You want a fun stat before you transition?
Yeah.
I think Casteel I think Higley on the season has 3 more offensive touchdowns than T. Smith does by himself.
Wow.
And remember, T. Smith did not play the first 5
half
games.
the season. Wow. That's be a good one. Folks, stay tuned for Friday night. It's definitely going to be a dandy. And next week, we are scheduled to be back at Podworks Studios. We're certainly looking forward to jumping into that. We hope to have Bill Brasso with us, who is the owner of Podworks Studios. He is a Chandler alum, much like Ralph Amsden. We'll get his thoughts on some high school football, as well as how the studio goes about its day-to-day business. And speaking of day-to-day business, the Perry Pumas, they handle their business on Friday night. They're now 6-5 on the year. They defeated Westwood again, 43-23. DJ DeTrizio with a pick 6. That was huge. Cale Snyder with 3 touchdown passes. He also ran one in. Certainly good stuff. And I'll say this, their next opponent is dangerous. I'm going to take off my professional hat and say right now, Perry and ALA Queen Creek, I'm rooting for Perry. I'm rooting for Joseph Ortiz. It's like, hey, man, you got to get into that Final Four of the 6A. I mean, this is what we've wanted for you since day one. I mean, that is huge. Putting back on the professional hat, I saw this ALA Queen Creek team last week, and they have got a sophomore quarterback. Lalama is really good. I mean, they were without Britt DeWitt. They've got Khalil Bender. This is a dangerous Patriots team that can really click. They can play some defense. They can score some points. Yes, they didn't score enough to beat Red Mountain, but they can score a plenty. There's a reason why they won 5 in a row after going 0-5. This is going to be a really good matchup, and we are certainly on Team Perry in this one. Ralph, we know that the Pumas, they just want to – they got to push ahead. This is a really big one for the boys from 1919 East Queen Creek Road.
I agree. And, that we knew that it wasn't going to be a problem for them to go out and handle Westwood. They were up 43-7 before they threw in the backups and got them some playoff experience. I think this is 3 straight years with a playoff win. So there has been some modicum of success for the Perry Pumas. They are trending in the right direction, but this is the type of game you have to win. ALA Queen Creek is sort of in your area. I'm sure there are some students, in fact, I'm certain of it, that are in Perry's boundary that have elected to play football at ALA Queen Creek. Britt DeWitt is done. He's not going to be playing. And so, you have a talented backup quarterback, but it's still a backup quarterback. And then do they get to play host?
It's at ALA Queen Creek.
It's at ALA Queen Creek. Okay. So then, that factor maybe counts against you a little bit. That one's going to be tough, but at the same time, you're right. This is what they brought Joseph Ortiz in to do. I believe this is a premier job at a premier school, and you got D1 talent on your team, and you have a really cool opportunity here. I would love to see them go out and seize it. The emergence of Amos Augustine has given, this team some bright hope for the future. Cale Snyder is not a senior, and so it would be awesome to be riding the momentum of something really special going into 2026.
Adam, I want to see Ricky Stewart score a touchdown. I want to see this. That
would be awesome.
Yes, I want to see this stuff. I mean, this is go ahead, Pumas, do your thing.
Yeah, totally. I want to jump to kind of a conversation I was having with some of the players from Basha during the summer. We were, just kind of talking, and I brought up, what is kind of like, the one environment where you've just kind of felt like that stadium pulse that, like you knew it was going to be a hard game no matter what because of the atmosphere. And pretty much all of them agree that ALA Queen Creek is that one team that's capable of having their fans making a difference in the game. And I can say to the ALA Queen Creek games that I've been to, I would agree. I think the biggest thing about ALA Queen Creek is they are going to force you to bring your A game every single night. And if you have an off night, they are going to take advantage of that. I think that is most clear. I look back to the Queen Creek game I was at. They forced Sawyer Hale to throw 6 interceptions. 6 interceptions. If you are not on your A game, if you are having an off night, ALA Queen Creek is going to take full advantage of that and shove it down your throat as much as they can. So I think the key for Perry is for this. I think they've had a lot of ups and downs this year. There's been a lot of really great moments, and I know moments they wish they got back, and I know especially they're probably wanting to completely put that Basha game behind them and forget it happened. But if there's any game to lock in and put your best effort forward, put your best foot forward, have everybody go all in, kind of throw all the tricks in the bag, this is the game. Because ALA Queen Creek on their home field is going to give you one heck of a challenge. So I'm excited to see how this game goes down. And I think the biggest thing for the Pumas is stepping up when it matters most. And this is absolutely that moment.
Indeed, that environment over there. I was there for week 1, and obviously we know that, yes, Hamilton ruled the Patriots, but at the same time, the beginning of that game, before we realized how lopsided it was going to be, that atmosphere was intense. It really was. So we are certainly looking forward to seeing if the Pumas can get to their first Final Four of any type since Chubba Purdy was actually at the helm, and that is a while ago. Adam, the Chandler Wolves, they've had a week to recover after blowing a big lead in the Battle of Arizona Avenue. They've got the number 4 seed against the Brophy Broncos. These teams have not met in over 6 years. Chandler shut them out back in the day, October 11, 49-0. They've got 4 losses, but 3 of them are to the top 3 teams in the Open. This Broncos team is tough, but Adam, are the Chandler Wolves tougher?
I think the biggest thing I've been telling people, since the end of the Hamilton game really is this Chandler team. I know for a fact they're hungry right now. I know for a fact they want to bounce back and get a huge win. And I think especially with this game being at Chandler too, that's really what's going to make the difference is just playing on their home field and kind of having that advantage similar to ALA Queen Creek. A lot of people are looking at this game, thinking that this is kind of, probably going to be the upset in the Open with Brophy, getting a big win over Chandler. I picked against Jason Jewell last week, and he gave me some grief for it. But I'm probably gonna go and pick against Jason Jewell again this week. I just think this Chandler team is amped up. I think that they are hungry more than they ever have been all season long. I can only imagine, the kinds of things that Ty Wisdom is telling his team to get them mentally ready for this game. And so I think Chandler is going to come in and get a win on their home field and looking for that rematch against Hamilton.
Ralph, before I get your take, I'm going to flash you back to October 11, 2019. Chandler was in the midst of a nasty stretch in a good way. They had 3 consecutive 49-0 shutouts. Tucson was one of them. Brophy was one of them. Offhand, I can't recall the other. But even prior to that, that was the week they scored 84 points against Perry. So that offense was kicking. In that game against Brophy, they had 2 100-yard runners. Do you recall who they might be?
In 2019.
Both true running backs. So it was not Mikey Keene rushing for that.
Let's go Drake. Anderson, that's later. That's later. 2019. Oof.
One of them is out for the year for a Big Ten team right now.
Khalil Valentine?
No, it's and I'll give it to you. Eli Sanders.
Now Eli. Yeah, I was thinking of USC as a Big Ten team. I'm still got to get my head around that.
Day Hunter. That's
right. Yeah. That's right. I will never forget. And it's probably water under the bridge now. If Day Hunter's dad sees this, what's up? But I will never forget giving Day Hunter 6A Player of the Year, and Day Hunter's dad. And usually, like when you don't give somebody's kid an award, it's like, that's when they get upset.
Yep.
He was furious at me for not giving it to Mikey Keene. Furious. Maybe the most upset a parent's ever been with me, to the point where we were like, oh, we got to just not talk anymore. But yeah, we gave his son Player of the Year, and he got upset that it wasn't at least co-Player of the Year with Mikey Keene. I'll never forget that. Incredible.
Thoughts on the Wolves' chances this week?
Well, I would feel better if I was Brophy if I had any evidence of us playing like lockdown defense this year, but it's been arena football. And so, it doesn't necessarily instill confidence that the last time that we saw Chandler High on a football field, that it was kind of an inability to stop the run that allowed 40 some points to get scored in 15 minutes. So, if you're Chandler, that's fresh in your mind. But Chandler hadn't had a lot of difficulty scoring on good teams this year. Brophy's defense hasn't been good. So I actually like Chandler in this game by maybe 10 to 14 points. And a big part of that is just that Will Mental carved pretty much everybody up. 3,200 yards, 31 touchdowns. Is Brophy going to be the team to stop him? He's got 10 rushing touchdowns on top of that. So I just don't see, I can't even imagine it. And hopefully that takes some heat off Adam Beadle, that I was a little more harsh than he was.
That definitely works. And Ralph, sliding over to the Basha Bears, they seem to have found something in Jake Rogers. Week off to prepare for a Williamsfield team that they beat back on September 12th. That final was 42-14. Brody Veers had 4 touchdown passes. He defeated them in workmanlike fashion. I think they'll be okay in this one. I don't see Williamsfield coming up with a W.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine Williamsfield winning this game, but there was like an 8-week stretch where Williamsfield was the only team to have scored a first half touchdown on Basha. And you look at what Mesa was able to do, and maybe ball control is the answer. So if I'm Basha, I don't look past this game. Yeah, you played them once. Yeah, the second half was ugly. But don't forget that they moved the ball on you. You still have something to prove. You can improve on last time's result.
No, that's fair. And Adam, I believe they check off all the boxes for a win.
Yeah, I would think so. Although I still think Williamsfield is going to give them a battle. I look back to that game they played on. It was only a 14-7 game at halftime before Williamsfield just ran out of gas. And they had played them pretty competitively. It was a pretty close game. I think the big key for this one in Basha is still trying to find ways to get Noah Roberts going. If he can really get off to the races, I don't think Basha will have any problem winning this game. I think if there's any, I think if there's anybody to trust, it's Jake Rogers in that backfield. He did a phenomenal job against Perry, and I think just the more time he gets to get settled into this offense and get clicking, it's good for Basha, and so I give the Bears a win. Yeah.
Sounds like a plan, and we'll stay with you. The Hamilton Huskies, they'll start senior quarterback Daniel Veda. He found Roy Oliver not once but twice in that comeback win over Chandler. The Huskies have not played Mountain View in a very long time. Andy Litton's team will come prepared, that's for sure. But in the end, Hamilton should roll.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to be easy. I really don't. I think I'm very interested to see what the output from this Hamilton offense looks like with Veda in the backfield. I know he had a lot of success in that second half against Chandler. Granted, a lot of that was Skylar Cole punching the rock and running the ball. I think if Hamilton does that to a lot of success, they are going to easily win this game. But I think for several reasons, there are reasons why Andy Litton and this Mountain View team are hungry to win this game. I think they want to prove a lot of people wrong. I think Andy Litton wants to prove a lot of people wrong. And so it's gonna be interesting. I still think Hamilton comes up on top, but I would not be surprised in some way, shape, or form this game is close.
That's fair. Ralph, 10-0, my man. Did they got another one in them?
Yeah, I mean, and we did get Yahtzeed by Andy Litton last week when we unanimously picked against them in their game against Centennial, and he threw it back in our face, and he deserved to do that. Mm-hmm. So I do want to pay respect to Andy Litton and Mountain View. I think that they are a fantastic team and a fantastic story. But I've watched quite a few Mountain View games this year, and if there's any place where they struggle, which is really where any team struggles, is the ability to keep Goodman upright, right? Like a decent pass rush will make Goodman's life a little bit harder. And we're talking about a team that has 37 sacks. So, yeah, will Hamilton maybe struggle on offense or not look like they did with Jack Scully under center? I fully believe that to be true. But this is a team with 37 sacks and 52 QB hurries. And, I mean, compare that to Mountain View, who is a good pass rushing team. They have 19 sacks on the season. So take your good pass rushing team and multiply it by 2. Sure. The Huskies bring the absolute heat, and this might be the best pass rush in the state. It really might be. I think overall, to me, Basha has the best defense, but when it comes to getting after the quarterback, it's hard to argue with what they're doing over at Hamilton, and I think that's going to ultimately make the difference. So even if Hamilton's not out there going over 50 like they do, they average 55? Yep. Even if they're held in the 30s, I still think that's going to be way more than enough to get the job done.
It'll be good stuff on Friday night. 3 of the 4 open quarterfinal games are being held essentially in our backyard. But 2 other games we want to look at. Yes, indeed. ACP, the Knights, they're on the road, not traveling too far over ALA Gilbert North. My biggest thing, I think the Knights just can't be down 2 scores. If they keep it competitive, and I guess that's the secret in a way to all games. But, Ralph, I think if they can stay within striking distance consistently, I think they have a really good chance. But if they fall down, I'm going to say 14-0. Playing uphill is not in the ACP recipe.
I want to agree with you, but we just watched them score 21 in the 4th. But that is Cactus Shadows who struggled defensively all year. That Rich Edwards has played in big games. This is a well-disciplined, it's a team that lifts. It's a team that has like pro concepts, It's a team with every resource on the planet. So, and I don't know why I said Rich Edwards when this is Ty Detmer's team. Yeah. Make sure to watch Ty Detmer's interview with Adam Beadle on Arizona Varsity.
That's good stuff, man. Definitely
got to interview a Heisman winner. Got that weird internet that makes him look like he has a broken.
I swear, ALA Gilbert North got the 1G Wi-Fi. I don't know what it was. No shade on ALA Gilbert North whatsoever.
No, it's just because they spent all their money on that weight room and the football field and everything else they got out there. ACP has never beaten ALA Gilbert North. This would be a great time to get out from that. What is it? 0-6. So this would be a really, really good time to get out from under that. And it would make for a heck of an improbable run after being the 4A runner-up last year.
Adam, your thoughts on the battle over at Higley and 202?
It's going to be a tough one again, but I really think it's hard to deny what this ALA Gilbert North team has done in the recent weeks. They just are playing some of the best football. I think they've really emerged as a team that could really, really, really make a case to win this 5A state championship. And I love everything ACP has done this season, and the job Derek Zellner has done all year getting his players to buy in has been phenomenal. But I think I got to go with the Heisman Trophy quarterback and Ty Detmer and the ALA Gilbert North Eagles. I just think they're on such a roll that it's really going to be hard to stop them a second time. So I think the Eagles are going to come out on top in this one.
Definitely fair assessment. And last but certainly not least, let's take a look at the 3A semifinal game. Valley Christian against Round Valley. Last time these two teams met, COVID year. Round Valley wins 21-20, missed extra point by the Trojans. For me, I think the big thing for Valley Christian, good field position consistently. Just they don't have to score every time down. They don't have to go nuts. But if they can consistently control the field, if they can sustain an extra drive here and there, I think that's the big thing. They don't have to have the over-the-top big plays, win that time of possession battle. Their punter, hey, if you can come up with a couple of coffin corner kicks, that's awesome. But I think that's my biggest key, Adam, seeing Valley Christian control the field. And I think if they do that, they will be successful.
I think so. Honestly, I think to win this game, they're going to have to dominate through all three phases for the entire game. Round Valley is another team that if they catch you sort of at an off moment, they are going to shove it down your throat. I think we saw that last week, and I think we saw that at spurts throughout the year from this Round Valley team. Granted, this Valley Christian team is really talented. I think the way Austin Schroeder has continued to develop over the weeks has been phenomenal. Obviously, we've seen what their run game has done all season long. They've had guys in their defense step up. I know they've been a little dinged up the last couple of weeks in that category. And I'd love to see the Trojans make it and be able to make a case for this 3A state championship. But this Round Valley team, man, they are physical and they play they just play a different type. They just play with a different type of physicality that I don't think any other team in 3A, maybe it's besides Ben Franklin, plays with. And so for that reason, I think I'm going to have to go around Valley in this one over Valley Christian.
You said it, that physicality it's huge. Round Valley, yeah. I didn't realize how much fight was in Round Valley until I really started kind of following.
There's some dogs. There's some dogs.
Yes, they are. Ralph, you're a dog. What you got?
I've watched a lot of Round Valley this year, and this is my advice. There's that old Mike Tyson quote that everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. With Round Valley, you just got to plan to get punched in the mouth. You have to simulate pressure in practice. We'll come up with a little nursery rhyme to give Valley Christian the keys to victory. But when pressure comes your way, freaking throw the ball away. That's the best I can come up with, because every single team that I've watched this year under pressure tries to make something happen down the field. And the way that Round Valley safeties play, they're just waiting. They have 15 interceptions on the year. They've recovered another 11 fumbles. The defense is so opportunistic, and what they do with turnovers is just disgusting. They convert at such a high rate. Once they make you turn the ball over, it's just a stop in a bucket. And they're a very, very good team with a lot of good players who've been running the same system for a really long time. plan to be under pressure. If you feel it, throw it out of bounds. Live to fight another day. That's the most important thing. Maybe that can be the third part of the rhyme. Live to fight another day. Because this is a team that it's just relentless. And I mean, call Pete Walheim. He'll tell you. Like they got 3 or 4 players that are Saturday good. At what level, not up to me, but can do some pretty special stuff. So I've been super impressed with Round Valley all year long. With Valley Christian, you got speed, you got athleticism, you've had a tough schedule. You've played Ben Franklin, so it's not like this game skill-wise is going to catch you off guard. There's so much Round Valley on film, so you have a ton to prepare for.
Very true. Very true.
And you get to play host, so you take away the mystique of the Round Valley Dome. I think it's winnable. I do, unless you're frauds? Question mark.
Uh-oh.
No, I don't think that. I've never thought that, but at the same time, if it helps.
I'm with you. No, that'll be good stuff Saturday evening over at Mesa High School. That'll be a lot of fun stuff. Adam Beadle, as always, true pleasure working with you. Ralph Amsden, true pleasure working with you. We'll see you guys next week as, yes, the plot thickens as the playoff march continues. Take care, guys. We'll see you next week. This is the C-Town Rivals Podcast.